Dr. Atterberg, leave the vendor files on the counter and step away for us.
These are school site accounts. What exactly are you looking into?
Dr. Lorne Achterberg operated without real oversight for 6 years as principal of Cresthaven High School. Over 2,000 students depended on him. Not one person checked.
Payments from the activity fund to 3 outside vendors.
Those vendors were approved through the normal site process?
He would not get that chance to explain. Within 72 hours, investigators would have his 3 shell LLCs, his 6 years of fabricated invoices, and his signature on every single document that mattered. $1.1 million, $1,100,000, stolen one fake invoice at a time from a high school student activity fund while he ran morning announcements over the intercom and shook hands with graduating seniors. The retiring administrator who unraveled it asked a single question. That question would end a 28-year career in public education in 11 days. Before we go any further, I have to ask, when was the last time anyone checked who your school's vendors actually were? Drop a comment and let me know if your district has ever caught something like this. And subscribe if you haven't yet. We hold authority figures accountable on this channel every single week. Lorne Achterberg was born in October of 1970 in Bakersfield, California. His father, Donald Achterberg, taught 7th grade civics at a junior high school in Kern County for 31 years. His mother, Linda, worked as the secretary in the principal's office of the elementary school, across the street from where Donald taught. From the time Lorne was old enough to ride a bicycle, he understood the geography of a public school from the inside. He knew which doors the janitors used at 6 in the morning. He knew where the keys to the supply closets were kept. He knew that the principal of his mother's school took a coffee break at exactly 10:15 every weekday morning, because his mother brewed the pot. He graduated from Bakersfield High School in 1989, with grades that put him in the top 20% of his class, but not the top 10. His yearbook described him as the kid in the office, a reference to the fact that he had spent 4 years volunteering as a student aide to the assistant principal, running attendance slips between classrooms and helping the secretary file disciplinary records. Teachers wrote in his evaluation packet that he was highly responsible, well organized, and showed a natural understanding of how schools operate. He enrolled at California State University, Fresno, in the fall of 1989, and graduated 4 years later with a bachelor's degree in liberal studies and a single-subject teaching credential in social studies. His first job paid $21,400 a year. He taught 8th grade U.S. history at a middle school in Tulare County, California, in a portable classroom with a window that did not open and an air conditioner that did not work. He met his future wife, Karen Mendel, in the staff lounge of that school during his 2nd year. She taught Spanish 2 doors down. They married in the summer of 1996 in the back garden of her parents' house in Visalia. Lorne enrolled in a master's program in educational administration at the University of La Verne in 1998 while teaching full-time. He completed his administrative services credential and his master's degree in 2001. His first administrative job was as a dean of students at a comprehensive high school in Riverside County, California. He was 29 years old. His salary jumped from $46,000 to $68,000 in a single year. He spent 4 years as a dean of students, 4 years as an assistant principal, and 3 years as an associate principal at 3 different schools across 2 districts. His written evaluations during this period described him as exceptionally organized, skilled at handling parent communications, and demonstrating the kind of fiscal awareness uncommon at this stage of an administrative career. One superintendent wrote, in a letter of recommendation dated April of 2010, that Lorne Achterberg was the most procedurally precise administrator he had worked with in 22 years. That letter would later be entered into evidence at his sentencing hearing. In 2012, he earned a doctorate in educational leadership from the University of La Verne. His dissertation was titled Site-Based Fiscal Authority and the Limits of Centralized Oversight in California Public Schools. He defended it on a Thursday afternoon in May. 2 members of his committee would later be interviewed by investigators. He applied for the principal position at Cresthaven High School in the spring of 2016 and was selected from a field of 9 finalists. The Cresthaven Unified School District Board voted unanimously to approve his hire on the night of June 14, 2016. He stood at the podium and thanked the board for the opportunity to lead what he called one of the finest comprehensive high schools in the Inland Empire. His starting salary was $142,000 a year, plus a vehicle allowance and a deferred retirement match. He was 45 years old. By every external measure, Dr. Lorne Achterberg was exactly who Cresthaven Unified believed they had hired. He arrived at the school at 6:30 in the morning. He stood in the front entrance during arrival, greeting students by name. He ran the morning announcements himself, every weekday, in a calm and measured baritone. He attended every home football game, every theater production, every band concert, every senior awards night. His office was decorated with framed photographs of graduating classes, a Cresthaven Cougars football helmet signed by the 2018 varsity team, and a small wooden sign behind his desk that read, in burnt letters, "Every student, every day." That sign had been a Christmas gift from the school's faculty in his second year. It still hung in the same place on the morning investigators served the search warrant. To understand what Dr. Achterberg did, you have to understand the institutional architecture of school site funds in California. Most viewers, even those who have spent years working in education, have only the vaguest sense of how this money moves. That vagueness is exactly what made the fraud possible. A California public high school like Cresthaven operates under the financial authority of its district business office. The district handles payroll, capital expenditures, central purchasing, large vendor contracts, and the general operating fund. Those transactions are reconciled monthly, audited annually, and subject to county-level review by the Office of the State Controller. They are the part of school finance that people imagine when they imagine school finance. But every comprehensive high school also operates a constellation of smaller accounts that the district does not centrally manage. The Student Activity Fund, the Athletic Fund, the Associated Student Body Account, booster contributions, categorical grants, field trip deposits, yearbook revenue, vending commissions, concession proceeds. Fundraiser proceeds from the cheer team's car wash and the band's pancake breakfast and the senior class trip auction. At a school the size of Cresthaven, with 2,400 students and a robust athletic and arts program, those site-level accounts collectively held between $400,000 and $700,000 at any given time. Over the course of a fiscal year, more than $2 million flowed through them. District business offices in California treat site-level activity funds as administratively subordinate. The district reconciles them. The district will accept and process invoices submitted by the site. But the district does not, as a rule, second-guess site-level spending decisions. The principal of the school is the site administrator. His signature on a vendor invoice is the signature that authorizes payment. The dollar thresholds at which a payment requires additional review are set at amounts that fit the routine operating expenses of a high school. A $2,000 invoice for athletic field maintenance is routine. A $4,000 invoice for graduation event production is routine. A $7,000 invoice for academic enrichment consulting is routine. The theory behind this structure is reasonable. The alternative would be a district business office that approves every booster club purchase, every cheer competition entry fee, every senior class slideshow vendor. A district of 40,000 students cannot micromanage that volume of small transactions. The system delegates discretion to the site administrator because the site administrator is the person closest to the school's operational needs and the person who, in the institutional logic of public education, is trusted to act in the school's interest. The Site Council Fund Review Committee exists, in theory, as the check on that trust. The Site Council is composed of teachers, parents, classified staff, and a community representative. They are supposed to receive a quarterly report on site-level fund expenditures and ask questions about anomalies. In practice, the Site Council reviews a summary report prepared by the principal or his designee. The categories on that report are broad. The detail underneath each category is not, as a rule, examined by people who have full-time jobs and 3 other committees they sit on. Dr. Achterberg understood this architecture better than the people who designed it. He had written his dissertation on it. He had described, in 340 pages, the precise structural gap between site-level fiscal authority and centralized oversight. He had identified the conditions under which that gap created vulnerability. He had, in academic language, mapped the very blind spot he would exploit for the next 6 years. No one noticed. No one checked. The dissertation sat on a shelf in the University of Laverne Library, and the man who wrote it walked into the principal's office at Cresthaven High and started filing invoices. The first invoice was dated October 17, 2017, 16 months into his tenure as principal. The amount was $3,200. The vendor was Achterberg Educational Consulting, LLC, a California limited liability company registered through a registered agent service to a UPS store mailbox in Rancho Cucamonga, 12 miles from the school. The invoice described academic enrichment program design consultation, Q1 fiscal year 2017 through 2018. No such consultation had taken place. No such program had been designed. Dr. Achterberg signed the payment authorization himself. The district business office processed the payment as a routine site vendor transaction. A check was mailed to the UPS store mailbox. He picked it up 4 days later, drove to a credit union in Ontario, California, and deposited it into a business checking account he had opened in the LLC's name. 2 weeks later, he transferred $2,800 of it into his personal joint checking account, leaving the remainder as a balance to make the LLC look like a functioning business. The second LLC was formed in March of 2018, Inland Athletic Facilities Group, LLC, registered to a different UPS store mailbox, this one in Fontana. The first invoice arrived in April of 2018 for $4,100 in athletic facility maintenance and consulting, varsity field improvements, Q3 fiscal year 2017 through 2018. No work had been performed. The varsity field was maintained by the same district-employed groundskeeper who had maintained it for 11 years. The third LLC followed in November of 2018, Cresthaven Event Production Services, LLC, registered to a third UPS store mailbox, this one in San Bernardino. The first invoice arrived in May of 2019, 2 weeks before graduation. The amount was $6,200. The description read, Graduation Event Production Services, Ceremony Staging and Audio-Visual Coordination. The actual graduation was staged by the school's drama department, with audio-visual support provided by the district's instructional technology team. Both worked for free, as part of their normal job duties. The pattern, once established, became almost mechanical. Achterberg submitted invoices on a rolling quarterly schedule, varying the amounts to avoid the appearance of a recurring fixed charge. He kept individual invoices below $7,500, which was the threshold at which the district business office's accounts payable supervisor would have flagged the transaction for additional documentation. Most invoices fell between $3,000 and $6,500. The descriptions rotated through a vocabulary of educational administrative jargon designed to bore any reviewer into compliance. Strategic alignment consultation, stakeholder engagement facilitation, compliance documentation support, pre-event production coordination, post-season athletic facility assessment. He spread the invoices across the 3 LLCs to avoid any one entity dominating the school's vendor list. He timed them around district fiscal cycles so that the cumulative spending always appeared to track normal operating patterns. He approved the payments under his site administrator authority. He signed his own name to authorize transfers of public funds to entities he privately controlled. The money came in. He used it to pay down the mortgage on a 4-bedroom home in a hillside development north of Cresthaven that he and Karen had purchased in 2017. He used it to buy a 2019 Lexus RX 350 in cash. He used it to fund a college savings account for his daughter, who started at the University of California, Santa Barbara, in the fall of 2020. He used it to pay for a kitchen renovation, a backyard pool installation, a series of guided fly fishing trips to Montana, and a 1967 Pontiac GTO that he kept in a rented climate-controlled storage unit and tinkered with on weekends. The total embezzled in the first year was just under $63,000. By the second year, it was $117,000. By the third year, it was $172,000. By the fifth year, the annual take had crossed $240,000. The escalation was steady. There was no single year that would have looked anomalous to a reviewer. The growth tracked the growth of the school's overall site fund volume, which Achterberg himself, as principal, was driving upward through aggressive fundraising and booster engagement. He chaired the Site Council Fund Review Committee personally. He prepared the quarterly reports. He aggregated the shell vendor payments into broader budget categories. Academic enrichment expenditures lumped his consulting LLC's invoices in with legitimate spending on AP exam fee waivers and tutoring stipends. Athletic operations lumped his facilities LLC's invoices in with uniform replacements and tournament travel. Graduation and events lumped his event production LLC's invoices in with caterer payments and rental chair fees. The Site Council looked at the summary. The Site Council asked no questions. The Site Council thanked him for his clarity. In faculty meetings, he talked about fiscal stewardship. He told the staff that every dollar of activity fund money belonged to the students. He warned department chairs against unauthorized purchases. He audited the cheer team's car wash deposits down to the dollar. In the language of his own dissertation, he was performing the role of the rigorous site administrator with such precision that it functioned as camouflage. 6 years, $1.1 million, 3 shell LLCs, 1 signature on every document that mattered. In August of 2023, Marguerite Halverson announced her retirement. She had served as the Assistant Superintendent for Business Services at Cresthaven Unified School District for 26 years. She was 63 years old. She held a master's degree in public administration from the University of Southern California and a CPA license that she had maintained for 31 years. She had outlasted 4 superintendents. She had personally implemented the district's financial software conversion in 2004 and its second conversion in 2017. She knew the names of every accounts payable clerk in the business office, every site-level bookkeeper at every school, and most of the regular vendors who appeared in the district's payment registries. Her retirement date was set for June 30th, 2024, the end of the fiscal year. In April of 2024, with 2 months remaining before her departure, Marguerite began what she called her end-of-tenure review. She was not required to do this. There was no district policy obligating her to do it. She did it because she had done it before each of the 3 previous role transitions in her career, and because she believed, as she would later tell investigators, that you do not hand off a financial portfolio to your successor without first making sure you understand it yourself. She started with per-pupil spending comparisons across the district's high schools. Cresthaven Unified operated 4 comprehensive high schools and 1 continuation school. She pulled 5 years of site-level discretionary spending data from the district's financial system and built a comparison spreadsheet on her work laptop, sitting at her kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon in early May. Cresthaven High School's per-pupil discretionary spending was higher than the next closest comprehensive high school by 31%. 5 years running. The variance was not subtle. Marguerite did not assume fraud. She assumed initially that Cresthaven's higher spending reflected its larger booster network, its more active fundraising, and the principal's well-documented ability to generate site revenue. She made a note to ask Dr. Achterberg about it at a meeting they had on the calendar for the following Thursday. But before that meeting, she did one more thing. She pulled the vendor-level breakdown of Cresthaven High's discretionary spending for the most recent completed fiscal year. She printed it on her office laser printer on a Tuesday morning, 3 pages, single-sided, sorted by total payments received. The top 3 vendors on the list were 3 names she had never seen before. Achterberg Educational Consulting, LLC, Inland Athletic Facilities Group, LLC, Cresthaven Event Production Services, LLC. Together, they had received approximately $247,000 from Cresthaven High School in a single fiscal year. None of them appeared in the district's master vendor registry. None of them had been mentioned in any conversation Marguerite had ever had with another site administrator or business office staff member. She read the first entry on the list a second time. Achterberg Educational Consulting. Her hand did not move on the page. She read it a third time. She set the printout down on her desk. She turned to her monitor and opened a web browser and navigated to the California Secretary of State's business search portal. She typed Achterberg Educational Consulting into the search field. The result returned in less than a second: a registered LLC, formed in October 2017. Registered agent, Pacific Coast Filings, Inc. Address, a UPS store on Foothill Boulevard in Rancho Cucamonga. She clicked on the formation document and downloaded the PDF. She scrolled to the signature line. The name was printed beneath the signature: Lorne A. Achterberg, Manager. She stared at the screen for what she would later estimate was 3 or 4 minutes. Then she picked up her desk phone and called the district's general counsel. She did not call Dr. Achterberg. She did not send him an email. She did not mention the meeting they had scheduled for Thursday. By the end of the week, the matter was no longer in the hands of the business office. Quick question while we're here. If you were Marguerite Halverson, sitting at your desk on a Tuesday morning with that printout in front of you, would you have made that phone call, or would you have given Dr. Achterberg the chance to explain himself first? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't yet. The next part of this case is where everything starts to unravel. The district's general counsel was a woman named Joanne Vergara, a contract attorney with the firm of Vergara and Bell in Riverside, California. She had served Cresthaven Unified as outside general counsel for 14 years. When Marguerite Halverson called her on the afternoon of Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, Joanne Vergara listened for 11 minutes without interrupting. When Marguerite finished, Joanne asked her 3 questions. Could the LLCs be legitimate vendors operating under coincidentally similar names? Was the signature on the formation document authenticated? And was anyone else at the district aware of the discrepancy? The answers were no, not yet, and no. Joanne Vergara contacted the district superintendent that same afternoon. The superintendent contacted the board president that evening. By the following morning, the district had engaged a forensic accountant named Patricia Velasquez, a partner at a firm in Los Angeles that specialized in public sector financial investigations. Velasquez was given access to 6 years of Cresthaven High School site fund records, the district's complete vendor payment history, and the 3 LLC formation documents that Marguerite Halverson had downloaded. Patricia Velasquez and her team worked for 11 days before producing their initial report. They identified 147 separate invoices submitted by the 3 Achterberg-controlled LLCs to Cresthaven High School between October 2017 and April 2024. The cumulative amount was $1,103,400. Every single invoice had been approved for payment by Dr. Lorne Achterberg. Every single payment had been deposited into a business account controlled by Dr. Lorne Achterberg. From those business accounts, funds had been transferred into a personal joint checking account held by Dr. Achterberg and his wife at a credit union in Ontario, California. The forensic accountants reconstructed the lifestyle. The Lexus, purchased in cash. The mortgage payments accelerated beyond what Dr. Achterberg's reported salary would have supported. The pool, the kitchen renovation, the 1967 Pontiac GTO, the rental storage unit, the fishing trips, the college savings account funded in lump sum deposits that exceeded what a principal's salary could have accommodated. Every category of unexplained spending tracked, with delay-corrected precision, the timing of LLC deposits. The district turned the file over to the Office of the County District Attorney on the morning of Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. The Deputy District Attorney assigned to the case was a 15-year veteran named Trent Brockway, who specialized in public corruption prosecutions. Brockway authorized search warrants for Dr. Achterberg's home, his school office, his vehicle, and his bank records. The warrants were signed by a Superior Court judge on the afternoon of Thursday, May 23rd. They were not executed immediately. Brockway wanted physical surveillance first, to confirm Achterberg's daily movements and to ensure that the search of the school office could be conducted at a time that minimized disruption to students. The surveillance lasted 4 days. During those 4 days, Dr. Achterberg ran morning announcements over the intercom. He stood at the front entrance of the school during arrival. He attended a varsity baseball playoff game on the evening of May 24th, sitting in the bleachers with Karen, eating sunflower seeds, cheering as the Cresthaven Cougars beat Lake Arrowhead by a score of 7-2. The smoking gun, by the time the warrants were executed, was no longer in doubt. The forensic accountants had it. The Secretary of State had it. Patricia Velasquez had documented it in a 312-page report. The signature on the formation document for Achterberg Educational Consulting, LLC, dated October 4, 2017, matched the signature on the payment authorization for invoice number 1001, dated October 17, 2017, in which that same LLC billed Cresthaven High School for $3,200. The same hand, the same pen, possibly. 2 pieces of paper, separated by 13 days, that together documented a transaction in which Dr. Lorne Achterberg had paid Dr. Lorne Achterberg with public money for services Dr. Lorne Achterberg had not performed. He had used his own name on the LLC. He had used his own signature on every document. He had assumed, for 6 years, that no one would ever read them. The search warrant was executed at 6:53 on the morning of Tuesday, May 28, 2024. 2 unmarked county sheriff's vehicles and 1 investigator's sedan from the district attorney's office arrived simultaneously at the front entrance of Cresthaven High School. Dr. Achterberg was, as he was every weekday morning, already on campus. He was in the front office, standing next to the secretary's desk, reviewing the morning announcement script. The lead investigator, a senior detective named Carl Dussault, approached him with a copy of the warrant in his right hand and his badge displayed in his left. "Dr. Achterberg," the detective said, "we have a warrant to search the premises and to seize records related to a financial investigation. I need to ask you to step out of the front office and come with us to a private location." Dr. Achterberg looked at the warrant. He looked at the detective. He looked at the school secretary, whose name was Beatrice Holm, and who had worked in that front office for 19 years. "What is this regarding?" he said. "Sir, I am not going to discuss the matter in this hallway. Please come with us. I'd like to call my attorney. You can do that. Come with us first." He walked. He did not resist. He carried his coffee mug with him, a navy blue Cresthaven Cougars mug that he had received as a gift from the class of 2019. He set it down on the table in the conference room where Detective Dussault led him. He sat in the chair the detective indicated. He folded his hands on the table in front of him. "Dr. Achterberg, do you understand the warrant I just served you?" "I understand it." "Are you familiar with 3 LLCs registered in the state of California? Achterberg Educational Consulting